Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Reality Realness with 3 S's. I'm your host here, Chantele Francis, with my amazing co-host, Jonathan. How are you today, Jonathan?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm very well, very excited to talk to you about this episode. So let's just get right to it. What are your overall thoughts?
I was very confused. There's a lot going on, a lot of information. I feel like I needed a chart, like a little graph or an Excel sheet or something like that to keep track of. I just feel like they overly confused this whole veto thing and not just the veto thing, but I just mean the special stuff that's going on with it. And yeah, it was really like rewind, that like 15-second rewind that you can hit. I was doing a lot of that because I was like had to think my way through some of it. So it
Do you
was.
need more clarity still, or have
I'm
you
sure. I'm sure I do. But yeah, it was. It was good, and it had a lot of stuff going. Had a cliffhanger at the end, which I don't know why they're doing this every episode now. We know how you feel about that, uh, but it had a lot going for it, and I obviously enjoyed it.
Well, I didn't write down that much about this episode, but I thought it was kind of jam-packed with a lot of information. Not so much that they didn't need to conclude it with a veto ceremony, but it had a lot of information in it. It starts off with Derek F just being on the block. It's him and Claire, and he's going to fake being mad. What do you think about him fake being mad, upset with Kyland?
I don't know how certain people are buying that. So, I mean, yes, and I didn't see anything that they were showing me with it being kind of like faked that people were catching on to. But if you do catch on to it, then you automatically link the two of them or whatnot. So I don't know. I mean, if he can really sell it, then good for him. But there's going to be people within the cookout who are going to question that because he knows that like how does his other jokers, like I can see keeping it away from Brittany, but it's like how do they not know that he's not actually at risk? I don't know. I was very confused by some of that. I'm like, isn't it like well known amongst the cookout, like we're all looking out for each other? So I don't know.
Yeah, I mean he's just turning it on, I guess, for all the non-cookout members. But I'm like, it just I'm sorry, Big D. Nobody thinks you're the target. Like it's just everybody knows whoever sits beside you, Big D, is going home. You are the pawn. Like it's just no matter what. Nobody's scared of him. Everybody wants to drag him to final two.
Yeah, I also don't understand Kylan's whole process of who his targets were or are this week. It kind of jumped from like I don't even know how he went from like, oh, it's Claire. I was like, yeah, it should be Claire. I mean, I like Claire, but at the same time, if I was in that house and looking out for the I'd be like, I need to get rid of Claire and Derek X would be my top two. I think they're the most capable of everyone outside of it that can really throw things for a curveball there. So I just didn't get how he went from that to like Brittany to Alyssa to, and then I'm like, Alyssa's kind of like, you just cut off the head of her beast anyway last week. So I don't really know that she's coming for you. You don't have to like make that an enemy. I didn't get it. I didn't get his whole process today.
I guess to fill in the blanks just a little bit, he's kind of wanting to attack the partners of people in the cookout, right? So if he gets rid of Alyssa, then Xavier doesn't have a person, and so they don't have somebody that's going to keep them safe as they go forward. So with Brittany, you're kind of weakening then both Azza and Big D, and Brittany would come after Kyland and Xavier most likely if she were to win any power. So that's kind of his process around why he wants to target, say, Brittany here. He put up Claire. Like once you put somebody up, they're not going to ever forgive you. You kind of have to always follow through.
That's what I'm saying. It's like I could understand him at the beginning being like, not touching Claire. I want to show her that I trust her. Then promise her the world then, if you're not targeting her. But to, again, like you just said, to put someone up and then just be like, oh no, now I'm going to like potentially save you or whatever. I'm just like, that's not good gameplay. And the way he talks to people, and I remember this during his first reign of HOH. I wasn't impressed with it. I don't think he speaks to people the right way to, like he's a nice guy outside of his HOH reigns, but during them, I'm like, you'd rub me the wrong way.
Yeah, this week he definitely hasn't been doing a great job with how he's been communicating with people. He's been definitely coming across as condescending. The way how he phrases things are very motivational speaker, but that's not good. Like it's just like it's people are
the whole like trust me, I got this, but you don't know is almost like I'm almost like I'm better than you. You can't know like. And it just distanced people. I mean, I'm very happy for him to be HOH because it keeps my 2 draft members safe as Hannah and Sarah Beth. So I was like thankful for it. Yes.
Sheena, thanks for joining us. So Sheena says, here we go with Brittany crying and damn again.
But it was like a fury. It was like, there was like this blood boiling. It wasn't, what I saw. I mean, it was a different kind of a cry. Before it was like more whiny and previous weeks. And at the end of today's episode, it was like, I'm coming for you. I was like, okay. And I will say Brittany was working it a little bit more from what I saw in this episode, as far as trying to make deals and stuff like that. I don't know if she had before and we weren't seeing it, but definitely this week I saw her having, more strategic conversations that she needed to have. So.
Well, she did make that deal with Kylan. What did you think of that deal? And I mean, I'm not really a fan of the tiers either, Sheena, unless it's like working. Like if it's not working, then it just seems kind of annoying. I'm sorry, Brittany. I do know that you want to be there.
Yeah, but the problem with Brittany too. So I like that deal. I was like, oh, okay, then this is saving you because he mentioned you, and now he wants, Claire, and then it turned back to her. But anyway, I was like, that's what you need to do. You need to try. I don't know why he was keep going back and forth, but at the same time, it's like, yeah, the tiers and everything else is just, you're not winning any. I mean, here's the thing though, America gave her 100 of those bucks, whatever you want to call them or whatever. So she's like, what I'm doing is the right thing. And I didn't understand. I don't know if you talked about it in the last episode, but I don't understand who got the 100. I was like, why are they voting for Brittany and Derek? And I was like, these are weird choices.
The twist, the high roller twist, is that America is going to be voting for their favorite house guest. So they're texting to announce their favorite house guest. And
yeah, but why is Brittany and Derek favorite house guests?
Why that we don't know.
That's what I'm saying. It was like really weird how that was happening. I thought this whole thing was very confusing, but I understood that, who got what was, and why, and why people were playing. I thought the whole thing was messy.
Was an error because Derek X is very popular. And from what I heard is when you text Derek, then there's a pop-up that says, press 1 for F, press 2 for X. And I can imagine, and most people are imagining as well, that people aren't sure which is Derek F or X, because Derek F kind of looks like a Derek X more than a Derek X looks like a Derek X. You know what I mean? So that's what people are speculating, is that Big D got a lot of Derek X votes.
I can buy that.
She has a huge TikTok following, so it could be that. I do think that she gets a lot of support because people feel bad that she's been on the block for a bit. So the casuals just giving her that money, which did make her the target for sure.
Yeah. She needs some chill though. Like her fury that allowed her to win that last competition that she won was exactly what I think took her out of this competition. You need to be methodical. You need to like build your little piles if you found the right one and there's like 4 other people who haven't yet. She was just like, she couldn't see the forest through the trees. It was just too erratic and too like going 100. And for OTEV, which, okay, spoiler alert if you haven't seen it, that was what it was. But for OTEV, you just need to be more calculated, and I just didn't feel that from her. So,
well, all the people, they didn't show this, but both groups. So Claire Alyssa, and Kyland were all discussing what they were going to do because at this point, Kyland has even told Claire because they knew it was OTEV because they got the clue that it was Veto backwards.
Yeah.
And so they knew it was going to be OTEV, and so they started strategizing. So it was already kind of decided that Kyland, Claire, like they were going to kind of work together to a certain extent, and that they wanted it to be used on Claire. So that was kind of decided before the actual competition. And then also, though, Brittany and Big D, and I guess Ozza was around as well, was saying that Big D was going to follow Kyland around, so Kyland to try to like distract Kyland, and like they did have some sort of plan to try to get one of them to get Brittany to win it, but it didn't really work out.
But like, how are you gonna throw to Brittany when Brittany's not gonna like? It was just like, can you? The dog's eating a water bottle, so and you can probably hear it. But so 1 second, Ryland, stop it.
It wasn't called him Kyland.
Ryland, come here. Say hi to Kyland if he ever watches this. Yeah, it was just kind of like Brittany wasn't winning that, just like Derek wasn't winning that.
Mm-hmm. All right, but did they make a deal? Mm-hmm. It was very wishy-washy from Kyland. I would not have walked out of that head of household room confident if I were Brittany. No, not at all. If Brittany was only being like, okay, I'll do this and I'll do this and I'll do this, and he's like, okay, like, and he didn't fully was like he did shake the hands a little bit, but like it was Brittany that instigated all these things, and he didn't really even come back and confirm it. So it was a deal maybe in Brittany's head, but I wouldn't have been secure in that deal either. Would you have been like, I'm safe?
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna say no, but I was gonna say, isn't Brittany autistic as well? Did she say that at the beginning of this?
I think on the spectrum. I haven't heard her specifically say that, but
yeah, I thought it was mentioned at the beginning of the year. So I wonder, like, often if you're on the spectrum, it affects your relationships or your interactions with others. And so, I mean, I wonder where that comes into play with her for this, because I mean, she's made great, like, loyal people willing to like go against, like the cookout to really back her up. And that's fantastic. But just if she just was able to do that for everyone else, it would have protected her so much more than just super hyper focus on the jokers. I wonder how she would have played if she didn't start on a team, is what I would say.
I think she would have probably done a little bit better because she would have had to have gone around and made connections with more people, and then instead of just be reliant on her team.
Yeah.
100%. So Tiffany should have gotten the $100. I mean, I love Tiffany, my favorite player this season so far, but I think that the situation with when she was saying to Derek F and Ozza that they need to go and like just like tell him the truth, because like he thinks that I'm the swing vote and like he doesn't know that you don't have his votes. That whole conversation rubbed a lot of people the wrong way, and so I understood why she had fallen. Who
would you have given 100 to, your top three?
Claire, Tiffany, Derek X.
Interesting.
I was voting for Claire though. Like if I had, like I would have probably given them all Claire. We get 10 votes, but because I knew that Claire was most likely going to be the target this week. So where's there? Yeah, where's B Bean? Maybe B Bean's with what day is it? It's Wednesday. Maybe he's with Sarah. Maybe.
You know what? You go get him.
And Natalie, where's Natalie and B Bean? That's okay. We still got you, Sheena. Right? If Tiffany on SM. Wait, on SM. It's SM. I haven't been able to find her on IG. Social media. I heard that she's on Twitter. I didn't find her name though, but somebody has mentioned that they found Tiffany's Twitter account for her tweeting about Big Brother stuff. So that is a thing that does exist, but I haven't heard her being on other social media. Personally. Can't believe B Bean. Yeah, no, I got it after. I was thinking it was we're talking about the game. Okay, so basically, the veto picks are going to be Ozza, Brittany, and Alyssa are going to be playing in the veto with the nominees, which are Claire, Big D, and Kyland. And so they get a clue to what the veto is going to be. It says veto backwards. So we knew it was going to be OTEV. Now, just to clarify, with the high rollers competition,
so confusing, but go on. Sorry.
Qualified. They paid $50 and they had to slide the mint julep glasses on the shuffleboard. And whoever has the highest value was able to place their bets first. So if they place their bet on the person that wins the power of veto, they would win a second power of veto. So Kylan wants to ensure that he get like at least the second veto is used this week. So next week, it's not a variable that they can't control. So this is one of the reasons why he wanted to place a bet, is just to have a little more control here. So Kylan goes first. He picks Alyssa because Alyssa is one of his targets. So at least he'd have some power if she's the one that wins, and she knows that if she tries really hard, she might actually win. So he goes for Kylan. Alyssa. Big D goes for Brittany. Obviously, they want to keep the Jokers all together. So it makes sense to put their bet on Brittany so that he gets a veto if he can't do well. Claire picks Kylan, which I think is smart because, if he wants to secure his nominations, then he doesn't actually get to secure his nominations. And then Sarah B picked Azza. So do you have any more questions as to how it went down?
No, I guess, just even the beginning of the game, I was like, of the process, the Joker, I don't even know what it's called. I don't pay attention. But Derek X is my pick for
Natalie. What? X. Oh,
X,
see?
X, yeah.
See, I thought she said F. And just my brain was like, oh my God, Derek F? I thought she was being funny. So that's what I'm thinking, that people just made that mistake when they're voting.
I like, and I can't remember his name.
Xavier.
Xavier. I was like, is Xander? No, it's not Xander. Xavier. Yeah, I was surprised he didn't get the 100. But anyway, I understand how the game was working. I thought it gives him a lot to really have to focus on, if I bet on this person, whatever. It was just, as a viewer, I was just like, wait, so they even last episode, I was like, wait, so they all, as long as you scored in that game, you get to play and get to bet. And I was like, okay, because Tiffany didn't score, she doesn't get on. It was just a lot to take in and a couple rewinds. And I was like, this is to go from really simple stuff to then really complicated. I was like, oh, that's not for, I feel like the casual viewer. Wasn't really explained super well. So I was just, it took me a minute to kind of catch on, and I really definitely wanted to write things down, which I wasn't in the mood for. But I understood it, and I was like, oh, it's a really interesting veto to have to play with all this to really consider,
Yes, Natalie is in the building. Thank you. We were wondering where you and B Bean were, but no problem. I'm sure there's a lot of people having. I'm sure Rob as a podcast has Liana and Puya on, so they could be a very big draw, I'm sure. And then Sarah might have somebody fun on too. So that's okay. I got you, Jonathan. Me and you, babe. Me,
yeah,
you.
With an announcement at the end of today's episode.
Say that again?
I have an announcement at the end of today's episode, so I didn't even tell you. But, you won't know unless you stay and watch, right? So.
I'm staying, Jonathan. I'm staying right till the end.
Okay.
So the OTEV is an Arnold Schwarzenegger sounding jellyfish.
Question.
Yes.
Is that his, did they get him? Because I'm like, how can you mimic him and get away with it without it being a parody? I know you can, but and this was very lighthearted, but I'm like, can you do that? I don't know that you can do that. Because you can do it on SNL and stuff because it's a comedy, right? So this is reality. I think you have to pay for that. So I'm like, was that really him?
I don't think it was him.
It sounded very good.
The governor of California is going to go.
Listen, a former governor who did The Apprentice afterwards, who has done a few kind of crappy movies since as well. And you never know. He might be a big fan of Big Brother.
He's not a big fan.
You don't know that. I heard he watches the live feeds, is all I'm saying. I'm not going to.
Don't even. You're not telling the truth here, Jonathan. I don't believe it. So they have to go and find the correct jellies of the evicted house guests. So there's going to be 2 correct answers, and it's going to be on 1 jelly. Did you find these questions hard?
I don't do them. That's too much thinking.
Oh, Jonathan.
No, I don't do them. Do you do them in your head?
You.
Oh, I don't do them. I'm like, which 2 house? I'm like, which 2? You tell me. You're gonna tell me in like 12 seconds anyway. I'm not gonna be able to do it in my head that quickly. No.
That's part of the fun for me. I'm always like, like trying to figure it out to be like, if I can
No,
do it.
I like playing along to like the visual ones where they like show you a clip. You have to remember things. That's, doing it in that moment. For me to go back on my history of the last month, what's been going on, I'm like, I don't know. I mean, some of them were very easy and very obvious, right? So, yeah.
I'll go through the first one. So the first question was evicted a week that the veto was used. So that was Christian and Travis, and Big D. We knew that he was most likely going to be eliminated first. That was no brainer there. Second one was on a team together. Pretty easy as well. That was Whitney and Brent, and Azza went out with that. How did you like her trying to throw the veto to Brittany?
How they showed it was so obvious, and people were talking about it. I'm like, is that how it really went down? Too much thinking, right, Sheena? Let's stop for 1 second. I want to go back to when OTEV was Janelle with James. We're playing OTEV, and OTEV was flat on the ground.
6 couldn't be 6.
Whenever James and Janelle were the final. No, were they the final ones? They were playing together, and she like broke a nail, and he like got a scratch.
Didn't OTEV start 7? I don't think it was an OTEV in 6.
Was it All Stars then that they played together?
They must have. They were in both together.
The one where she broke a nail. She was like, I broke a nail. And he's like, I got injured. And he was like really trying. I think that might have been All Stars. He was trying to like get her like disqualified. Anyway, whatever. But OTEV was flat. It was flat on the ground. And I'm just saying, I like the little climb that they have. But if they want to have a few more plus size people, I'm all for it. I love kind of real body sizes and stuff like that. I love it. But if you're gonna have that in the season too, like let's maybe do a little throwback to like a flatter one or something like not as athletic-ish, like where we know that Derek is not going to be the first one up that hill. Like it's just, I just hated knowing that he wasn't going to win going into it.
Right. I think that what they try to do is get the gag of them falling down that slide thing.
Oh yeah, and him like not being able to get up like 7 times. Like yeah, it was. They keep doing him dirty in the edit though on TV because he keeps talking up his game. He's like, this is time that I really need to, and then it cuts to him like falling flat on his face. They did it like the other time as well when he was on the wall. I think yeah.
So the fact that Big D is eliminated first every time is hilarious. I mean, it was a little bit funny, but I do understand your point here that it's like, it's not really fun to know that because of your size, you're limited to being able to do a few of the competitions.
Yeah, it's and I just don't like how he's like the butt of the joke every time because it's. Yeah, I mean, just they need to be a little bit more inclusive to differently abled people in general to some of their listen, some should be athletic and some should be completely mental, but then other things should be kind of altered to kind of just have a more even playing field for, I think, the majority of them anyway. So love OTEV. I'm not saying, oh my God, you do not want that. Do not want that.
Well, the third one was they played in the massive cocktail competition. And so that answer is Frenchie and Travis. And is that one also was eliminated? Did I write down the wrong name? I don't even know.
The third, yes, she was eliminated.
Brittany was eliminated, and I wrote
it was her second, Brittany third. Yeah, him for they went out 1, 2, 3. Yeah.
The fourth one was not a team captain, so it was Travis and Brent. Claire was eliminated in that one. I really wanted Claire to win, obviously. But
I kind of like Alyssa now, and I was hoping to keep her safe. So I'm very glad that she was still in it at that point.
Hundo. And so Alyssa definitely says to Kylan, though, when it was just the two of them, like, I'd rather have it, I'd rather have it. And Kylan bet on Alyssa. So if it's kind of like, I think it was a good idea for him to do that for Alyssa, to let her have that comp win. He still gets a veto out of it. So, and then she's in on the plan. I think it is good for him to, even if she's targeted next week, like, mend some fences. He has somebody else he could put up on the block. He could do whatever his weird game of like trying to make Claire like,
I don't know. But subconsciously, I mean, like, you have to be careful in moments like that you don't blurt something out you don't mean or want to phrase it a certain way, because I would rather have it. It's not a good way of putting it. Be like, oh, I really want to win OTEV would have been much better, because it's like, I don't have faith in you not putting me on the block because that's the HOH. So I would rather have it's like, I don't trust you. Whereas, and I think you need to be thinking about these things. Like, if it's me and him, what am I going to say? If it's me and her at the end, what am I going to say? Like, how am I going to convince them? And I would have thought of that beforehand and been like, I really just want to win. And I would have been planting that seed from the beginning. I really just want to win OTEV. It's so iconic. I want to win this. Like, but I'm glad she said something. I'm glad she said she'll do whatever he wants with it or whatever, just to ensure that and comfort him. But I'm like, you have to be careful with kind of like subconsciously how you're phrasing it.
So badly. Yeah. Like, if she not trusts me, let me get her out of here then, if she doesn't trust me.
Yeah. You have to be careful with that.
Totally agree. But so Kylan is moving at a snail's pace. And for somebody that wants to make amends with Claire, like, that's not a good look, to look like you are throwing the veto to Alyssa when he knows that if he wins, Claire is going to get a veto and she gets to come off the block. But he has his whole thing that he wants to be the one that takes Claire off the block. That's how he wants Claire to take herself off the block.
Yeah, this is how they all look when they're trying to throw it. Not like running around frantic, like they haven't found the right one. They're all like, they have the right one in their hand and they're like, and they just like stay there and do nothing. I'm like, it is so obvious, guys. It is so obvious. It was bad. The throwing was bad.
I'm not fooling anybody. Chantele, I followed you on IG. You're an yes, Aquarius, gang. Wait, I loved you for a reason, of course. Okay, when's your birthday, Sheena? Watch, we're gonna have the same birthday. You watch.
3 days apart.
You think?
Close. It's gonna be close.
Oh, very close. 2 days apart. I'm January 25th, Sheena. Le 25 janvier. You're really surprised, Jonathan.
But Ryland is January,
birthday, isn't it?
No, January 28th. So you're all right up there.
The best sign in the zodiac. Libra's a close second. I'm going to probably marry a Libra. So you're in good.
I like Libra. Yeah. I mean, yeah, but you're in good company. End of January is like good people.
Always. You got Oprah. My birthday's the same as Alicia Keys. Come on now. Let's get it. Hi, Alyssa. So yeah, that Kylan situation didn't make much sense. I don't know how he was making that sense to himself, but like, he thought that it made sense. And I was like, no, it doesn't make any sense at all. Ooh, your son's a Libra? I love Libras. I find them, they're always so good looking. I'm always just like, hard eyes for Libras.
What's your son's birthday? Within 2 days of my birthday? Maybe.
What did you say?
I said, what's her son's birthday?
Ooh.
Within 2 days of me? Maybe. Who knows?
I feel like the son's birthday is early in October, like the 5th. That's my guess. Okay. Did Brittany threaten the house with karate? LOL. Yes, she is a 4th degree black belt, and she's going to unleash the 4th degree black belt on the house.
But those eyes, I was talking at the beginning, BB, and I don't know if you saw it, but like those eyes, she was like, there was like some fury there, and there was just, I was like, okay, all right,
bring it.
What does that mean?
Like climbing the walls. Like, I just wanted to see her go ballistic. Like, entertaining for sure. You've been missed, but now you're here. So the gang is all here. Oh, since the end of September.
Oh, okay. Nice. I'm October 20.
Oh my gosh.
I accept gifts. Yeah, when she was storming after Kyland, I was like, ooh, like that's like with intent, right? You know what I mean? I'm like, this is good.
The 10-5 was a birthday. Due date originally, but came the 26th, came early. Well, honestly, as long as he's a Libra, good sign, good peoples. Brittany scares me, lol. Alyssa. I mean, I would be scared to be in a fight with her because it seems like when she switches that on, like that energy is like intense.
I know we're not there yet, but speaking of her going on a little rampage, what was the purpose of warning her and Kylan coming up with Sarah Beth I'm like, if that's your target and that's who you want to go home, what is the point of telling her that she's going to soften the blow a little bit, like an hour, 10 minutes before she goes?
Like Sarah Beth believes that Brittany forgives people that keep her in the loop.
Yeah, but like Kylan was like, go tell her. And then she's like, okay. And then she went out and told her. And then she comes back and like he knew it was going to come back to him. So like, why would you even want that confrontation when you don't have an answer for her that's satisfactory to anybody? You're just like, well, yeah. And I think, and I'm like, that wasn't thought out. Again, Kylan, not thinking things out properly.
Yeah, definitely as he wanted Brittany's jury vote.
Oh.
And I think that maybe Kylan did as well.
It was a gift for Sarah Beth. It was yeah, absolutely. You could it was like a free gift I just don't know how it made sense specifically for Kylan. It would if he had a good answer, but he didn't have one prepared. So I was like, I didn't understand that.
I think he thought his answer was good.
Okay, all right.
That's really what I'm going with here. I think he's like, oh, I got this. This is good.
Really ticked her off, but okay.
That's basically what I think is going to happen. So Claire, by the end of this, Alyssa wins the power of veto. She wins OTEV, and that in turn means that Kyland has a second veto. So I think it's definitely going to be very interesting.
That has to be used this week, right? That's the rules.
It's not used, but it's flush now.
Or,
so
yeah.
It doesn't go back into circulation, so people can't bet to do that particular high roller thing.
And you can only use it this week, yeah.
Used. So Claire's punishment is over. It seems like she's been wearing that punishment for a really long time. That's what we see Kyle and Nesby in the hammock, and they're talking about Brittany to Target, et cetera, et cetera. Kind of already talked about that a little bit.
The costumes, I thought there should be like one person with a costume on because it got really kind of cluttered. Just seeing Kylan in a costume, Claire in a costume. It was just kind of, and then that felt like it was like from 2 weeks ago almost. It felt like they've been wearing it a while. So I was like, maybe one person with a costume you can really focus on. I don't know, clean it up a little bit. Big brother.
Yeah, it didn't bother me. I kind of got used to it, but it does feel like they're wearing that costume for an eternity, like super long. So Kylan tells Big D that he is planning on backdooring Brittany, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, these jokers are gonna like freak out because she's, as like you said, has managed to get these jokers to really want to protect her, but they just never have any power. So them protecting her is just annoying to me. Anyways, I'm just like, oh man.
It's like you threw that competition to the one person who maybe like Aja could have won it, and yet she threw it to Brittany. And I was like, I understand why, because then you could have still put a third, a joker on, and it really needed to be Brittany. But I mean, if you were looking to hold the power of at least one veto, go with the person who's doing better in the competition.
Alyssa says that she likes Derek X's punishment the most. I thought it was a funny punishment. It was only 24 hours, so that's probably why we liked it, because it didn't get stale. There's some clips on the internet, though. There's multiple of these costumes for Kylan, and so there's like a clip with Xavier and Derek X like in the costume, like like doing like the, I don't know, it's neighing or ninnying, or I don't know what it's actually called, but like up and like kind of writhing against Hannah. It's actually very funny. I'm gonna see if I can find it for you. It was funny. Yes, the Lord of the Latrine and he did a good job of it, especially when he just didn't want to do it at all. I was like, you're suffering for art here.
Yeah, that was the best one. I feel like if they just had that or something, that would have been good. Or at different stages of the week, like have that for 24 hours, another one for a couple days, whatever. But we all know how I feel about a washroom. It needs to be private, away from others. It made me uncomfortable watching it the whole time. I was like, this is not okay.
Oh,
Not
poor,
okay.
poor Jonathan is having like
I was
moments.
like, I was triggered, and that's never happened to me where someone's announced me going to the washroom before. But I mean, like, it was just made me uncomfortable, gave me anxiety.
Hilarious, hilarious. Okay, so this is where SB does tell Brittany that she may be going up. Brittany starts panicking. Absolutely, she's like running, like immediately stands up and like runs around looking for Colin. Goes into the head of household room, can't find Colin. I think he was in the storage room or the diary room, one of the two. Comes out, corners him, and like he definitely did not have a good answer for like the fact that she was going to go up.
Now, I have a question. So, do we feel like it was the right thing for her to do? Sorry, my cat's like eating the cat food bag, but don't mind that in the background if you hear it. But was it the right thing for her to do to announce to others that if she, like how she was like, if he puts me up, he's a liar?
Yeah.
I'm like, I didn't strategically, I didn't know if that was a good or bad thing, because I'm like, it shows some, like, should this have been more of a private moment? You can blow it up later if and when it happens, or should you let other people know now? I don't know. It's just kind of like, when you often in any of these games kind of paint yourself as having an issue with someone else, it's an easy like, oh, it's you or you then. And it puts you automatically as someone who can be put up for things or anything like that. So kind of doing that before anything really happened, I don't know if it was beneficial or not, but I really hadn't thought it out.
Like, you don't want to, like, if she's this mad and he hasn't even done it yet, he has to follow through with it now for sure and get her out, because you can tell that he's a liar. Well, okay, I'm a liar. Well, sorry, then I am a liar.
Yeah.
I am you up.
Because even if he didn't, I mean, he wasn't hearing it because he wasn't there. But there was like 5 people there. Someone's going to be like, yeah, she was going around saying you're this, that, and the other thing, right? So true.
Even if it's true, you kind of have to kiss ass and like being like, maybe ask why. Like, is there something that we could do? I thought that we're building some trust. Like, I really don't want to go out on your head of household. Like, I really love working with you. Whatever.
And even if she survives, it's something that, being that chaotic when things go down, other people will know. If you pulled them aside and didn't have moments like that, other people might trust you with other things, So it's you just have to be thinking all the time of just how your actions really are going to speak to other people who are not even involved in it just right then and there. So I don't know. I feel like a lot of that's happening this season where people aren't.
BB says, is it casting's responsibility to filter out immature players? Brittany's tantrums are hard to watch. What do you think, Jonathan? You're in casting.
As a casting director myself, no. And so casting is really to facilitate producers as well as the network or the one cast and approved people. It's not up to casting, really. You help facilitate. You bring people to the forefront. You seek when you're given specific instructions, but ultimately there's a whole bunch of people who are making these decisions, including many producers, as well as the network's going to sign off on everyone as well. So
once it's out of your hands, there's a lot more people that would have had to okay this person before they get on the actual show. So
absolutely,
that's responsibility, you're saying.
And even if casting's like, I really want this person, it doesn't matter. It's if they're like, no, we want these people or whatever, it's still a whole bunch of people.
So Alyssa really likes Brittany sometimes, but agrees that she's dramatic. Yeah, it is a little bit hard to watch because it's kind of like, what did she want people to be doing? Just like give her a competition and give her this and give her, well, like, it's just not the game. Everybody's playing the game for themselves, and it sucks being the perpetual pawn. I get that. I would not want that role at all, and I would be probably upset. I'd probably cry about it, but I would probably also try to do things to get me out of that role. And she hasn't been effective in doing that, and it could be because she was on Frenchie's team, week 1, and she wasn't able to go around and make any connections. She felt safe with the jokers. And I think I agree. It's actually been detrimental to her game because she hasn't figured out how to get out of the pawn spot.
And I don't know if she's in sports. Don't mind my dog, but I don't know if she's in sports, but she's definitely has like a team mentality. So again, the team thing kind of like ruined it for her.
100%. So that's pretty much everything that happened in the episode. She was annoyed by Kylan saying, like, you're putting me on the block because I'm an unpredictable variable. But she is an unpredictable variable, and it doesn't sound good here, but I would be taking out any unpredictable variables as possible. Big D is also an unpredictable variable. Like, I don't know what he would do on his head of household. Like, I would lose against him. Like, maybe if I wasn't a person of color, but like if I was, one of the people that are not in the cookouts, I'd be not wanting to sit beside Big D. So it's another person that I would say is an unpredictable variable. But yeah, I would want to get those people out 100%. So I'm sorry, Brittany, that it's you, but
I don't know. Brittany's not a threat. I can understand like breaking up the Jokers, but like you said at the beginning, they haven't won anything really. So
it's the $100. Her being able to bank that money and be able to play, one of the only people eligible to play in the. It's kind of a coup d'etat type.
Yeah, I guess that's my question too. I guess they've gone around sharing, because I know I don't know who's told who to what, but someone was lying about it at the end of last episode. I forget. It was someone walked into a room. Was it Derek? Or he walked into. I mean, I'm sure they all told each other by now, but they did show at the end of the last episode someone was like lying about it, or potentially attempting to, where they were asking them. Someone walked into a room, and I think it was Big D, and they were asking, "Oh, did you get the 100?" And he's like, "What? I didn't get the 100." He actually said he didn't, because I remember that on the show. But I don't know if like 2 hours later they just all came clean with it, or what happened.
I don't know who got what. They were able to deduce it, basically, because the people at the cookout, like Hannah, Xavier, and Tiffany, all got 75. They knew Claire got 50. They knew Derek X got 100. I guess I don't know for sure about Brittany and Derek F, but it was pretty easy to deduce with the other people saying what they had.
I figured it would have been, so I'm like, I don't know why anyone would really lie about it, but.
So how do we feel about Kylan wouldn't throw the head of household to Azah and Tiffany, even though he tried to Tiffany, and how they got mad at him for it? Well, Tiffany didn't get mad at him for him. She was upset with herself for messing up when he gave it to her. Azah, I'm kind of tired of Azah thinking that she needs to be given everything in the game, but then she's also like playing for somebody else and like willing to put herself up on the block for somebody else. It's just kind of like, I don't know what game you're playing. It's not the same one that I would be playing. So I wasn't really feeling Azah coming for Kylan for not throwing her to the head of household. Like, excuse me.
The Jokers as a whole definitely has that kind of like they deserve stuff kind of. I'm like, you don't though. You don't deserve, like, no one owes you anything. So, and Tiffany blamed herself, right? Tiffany was like, oh, he tried to throw it to me and I couldn't. And then, so.
I mean, if he really wanted to throw it, he should have answered incorrectly. It would have been a lot easier than him like, oh, I don't know what the answer is. It's like, answer incorrectly. Alyssa says, I feel like it isn't fair to Kylan that they expect him to throw it. Absolutely. They target Kylan so much because of his relationship with Sarah Beth. I feel it's unfair. It is unfair, but if he's saying that he was clearly willing to throw it at least to Tiffany. And that was so that Tiffany could take a shot at Sarah Beth. And so maybe he subconsciously didn't allow that to happen because he doesn't want Sarah Beth gone yet, even though he's trying to pretend like, everybody's side piece has to go eventually. Derek X was lying? Okay, I don't remember.
Yeah, he walked into the room and said that he didn't. He's like, well, I didn't get the 100, I think is what his exact words.
Oh, yeah, you're right. I'm starting to come back to me.
So it's like, I'm like, but they're going to find out. So I don't know how that played out, but anyway.
I was pretty shocked though by Brittany's ending comment, like, you go back on it like an arrogant little bitch. I was like, Brittany, the language.
Yeah, but they sat there and they were like, okay, great, but tell us how you really say something that you wouldn't say though, and until like they got that out of her, right? Yes. Yeah.
So that is pretty much it. It was like, these are my notes, and I usually have at least a couple pages. But that was it for the episode. Thanks everybody for hanging out. You called him a B word. Yes, called him a B word. Yeah, I mean, I liked that coming out of Brittany. Child. All right, so that's all we have for you today with this episode. Jonathan says that he has some news, so I'm curious as to what he would like to share with us.
It's nothing reality related, but it's TV related. So I just wanted to announce that my show, Moonshine, actually has a premiere date, which is September 14th. If you're in Canada, it's on CBC. If not, it'll be on other streaming services soon. But yeah, it's September 14th at 9 p.m. Eastern, CBC or CBC Gem.
Do you want to have a watch party?
Yeah, let's watch it. Let's watch it. You can find the trailers online now, but the trailers that they've been airing on CBC, I've seen like a full 5-minute sizzle, and it looks amazing, and it's like everything I'm living for. But the little 30-second commercials, I was like, ooh, that's edited for CBC's kind of like safe, and the show's not safe. So yeah, don't just judge it on that. You should tune in. Again, September 14th.
All right, we'll arrange a watch party. Maybe we'll see if we can make that happen. Yay! Well, that is awesome. You're getting some congrats here. So thank you, Sheena. Thank you, Alyssa, Phoebe, Natalie, and of course you, Jonathan. Thanks for being here. If you haven't done so already, just subscribe. Building this community. We love you. If you're watching this after we aired, who do you think do you think that Kylan and or Alyssa are going to use the power of veto? Yeah, what do you think, Jonathan?
I think that I think he wants Brittany gone, so I think that's probably what's going to happen. I don't know if the Jokers have any power really to stop that ball from rolling and continuing.
I don't think so either. Yeah. Well, we'll see tomorrow with JoJo, and I will talk after the episode about what actually happened, and we'll get to see the veto ceremony. I love you guys. Thank you so much for being here. See you tomorrow.
Bye.
Join us later in about an hour. We'll be going live with the challenge.
Love the challenge. It's worth it. Definitely.
Love you.